All right, Ian, we have a Patreon poll.
We do. Patreon.com/CU podcast.
That's not what you've been getting wrong. What have you been getting wrong?
We do the full video podcast.
That's available.
Do weekly writing.
The audio podcast is free, everyone. It's free $99. Free $99 on podcast, Google Play Store, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify.
I do weekly writing. We also
talked about burgers last week.
I did.
It made me a little hungry.
Yeah.
It made me fasting.
What else? I do a hangout once a month, and you get to vote in a weekly poll topic.
In third place, what was your favorite thing about the start of summer, and were you a beach kid? Only 16%. It ain't going away for the whole summer. I will tell a story or two. In second place, speaking of summer and summer reading, what were your favorite books and book series growing up or recently? And in first place, Ian, this is your topic here. What is your go-to game when you need to decompress and eliminate stress? Which I know you have very little of.
Yeah, very, very little. So the genre would be first-person dungeon crawlers. And I think specifically I would say Etrian Odyssey on the 3DS is a game series.
What is it called?
Etrian, Etrian, Odyssey. On the 3DS is a series that I keep going back to. There's 6 mainline entries in the series and I believe 2 spin-off entries. And it's a first-person dungeon crawler like the original Bard's Tale or Wizardry. The big thing with Etrian Odyssey is, and they made it a little bit easier as time went on to, I think, kind of meet people halfway. But you draw all your own maps in Etrian Odyssey. So the bottom chunk of your 3DS acts as virtual graph paper, and you make the maps as you go through the dungeons. I think it was like jokingly referred to as a cartography RPG when it first came out.
That's pretty
cool. So you do, I mean, back if you played a Wizardry on the NES or on the PC, you had to do this. This was stuff that you had to do. You had to get the graph paper and draw the maps square by square if you had any hope of getting through the later levels without getting, murdered or lost. Games, as time has progressed, a lot of these first-person dungeon crawlers have added some amount of auto mapping, whether it fills in the spots as you walk, it fills in for you, it does the mapping for you. You can find spells that will illuminate chunks of the map and things like that. So a lot of those games, did work on making that mapping aspect less of an issue, but Etrian Odyssey purposely goes back to the basics. With the last one, Etrian Odyssey Nexus, you can actually turn, full like wall and floor auto mapping on. So it'll, make the map as you walk. You would still want to leave icons and notes on the maps and all that, and they give you a lot of ways to do that. But on top of the mapping, it's a very, very difficult game. Like most classic RPGs are. Your progress is measured by hallways and rooms. You're going for inches here, not miles. And it's very, even though it's very difficult, there's something about the routine of go into the dungeon, map out a new section, fight a couple battles, level up, go back to the town, spend your skill points, rest at the inn, buy some items, sell some stuff off for gold, and go back in and do it again. And you just get into this very pleasing lull. And there are people who play RPGs who get really into the number crunching and the statistics and stuff like that. And when I need to distract myself from something, especially that is emotionally upsetting to me, getting lost in that cycle of numbers and leveling and mapping helps take my mind off it, because there's so much other stuff at play.
So you want a game that it's so involved that you have to be constantly thinking about things in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's involved, but it's also a very simple loop. I mean, there's a lot of steps to what you're doing, but none of it is particularly hard. And you can fall, even though I say it's a challenging game, you learn how to play it safely. So you're actually never really too terrified of dying. You're like, you get used to knowing, okay, I've got to level up. So you just grind forever. And grinding gets to the point where it becomes, it's not dangerous.
Well, RPGs to me aren't too stressful, right? Because they're like slow at your own pace.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is, these types of RPGs are generally fairly light on story. It's what you make up. So, there's really nothing to distract you from the adventuring, the mapping, the going in and getting treasure and finding stuff. And there's something appealingly simple about that to me.
And this is the one on the DS?
They've only made it on the DS so far.
They've made multiple ones, it looks like.
Yeah, 1 through 5, Nexus, and then 2 spin-offs.
Oh, there's little story interactions with people, little cutscenes.
The 2 of the spin-offs.
There's a cat in the guy's head.
Oh yeah, that's the shopkeeper from Nexus.
There's a big fat cat.
Yeah, there's a big fat white cat on that lady's head. The 2 spin-offs, the Etrian Odyssey Untold series, those are far more focused on story.
I'm looking at the bottom. Yeah, okay. Also, so it has a graph paper on the bottom. That's pretty cool. And you can hit your stylus and put things on. That's not a bad idea.
So that has kind of been my ultimate one. I mean, I got through, not to be overly emotional, but I mean, that was the game. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd one I played relentlessly when my grandmother got sick with cancer and passed away. Because it was one of those few places where I could shut my brain off. Basically, I could turn everything else off and just focus on this. And I started playing Nexus. I put off Nexus specifically because I knew there would be a time in my life where I needed a game like this. And I ordered Nexus about a month and a half ago, and I've been playing it when I start to get just too fucking pissed off at the world right now. It's a good time to play a game like that I can escape into.
Sure. I usually don't go back to, as an adult, I don't go back to video gaming that much when I'm stressed, because to me it doesn't soothe me. I don't know. It's just not a thing. But when I was a child, the more I think about it, I played games a lot when I was stressed because I grew up in a household where parents were arguing every single day.
Sure.
And you always heard yelling, so you try to escape and try to go into your little corner and try to do that.
Your space.
Yeah, that CRT right there, that mana box is where the NES was hooked up to, Ian.
Yep.
It was upstairs for a lot of time. It wasn't the TV for the first years of NES. It was upstairs, and because that has an AV out, and you hit the little button to turn it to RGB, and you played it in the hot fucking. It was one of those converted upstairs that were all an attic, and they were converted.
Yeah.
You have the attic door, so you try to keep the heat out, but it's next to impossible.
Right.
It was one of those. So I played whatever NES game I had in order to, be okay. But, okay, I have one specific story where Street Fighter 2 called me. This is more of a Tales from Past Neighborhood thing, where this was, Jesus Christ, Street Fighter 2 came out on the Super Nintendo at 92. So 12, that is 6th grade, I believe, something like that, 6th grade. 6th grade, maybe 7th. So there was a performance group thing for some class. I forget what it was, but you put on a performance and you grouped up into 4 or 5 students each. So I don't remember what my group did for whatever this project was, some performance or what have you, some project. It might have been an AV sort of thing. So there was a group of 5 kids, and they were most of the bullies that grouped up. You're allowed to group up. So it was Rob,
goddamn Rob,
Joey H. I won't say your last name.
Joey H.
You little Napoleon complex little bully brat. You used to cross-check me when we were playing Street Hockey. Oh, I'll use my... No, you used your stick, you asshole. It was him, Mike S., and another person. They did a video, what's on a camcorder was a big deal. They did a music video making fun of another student in cosplay. And the teachers didn't know at the time. It was funny. You're a kid, you're laughing. Looking back, you shouldn't have laughed at it. Making fun of a kid that they all picked on.
Right.
And the kid they picked on, I don't want to say he deserved it, but he was a little dickish, but he didn't deserve how much they picked on him. They made it worse. And they did something bad to him later on that one kid got suspended for, which I regret not going after the kid that did it, but I was too weak when I was 13, 14. I didn't stick up for kids as much because I was afraid of getting attacked, but whatever. It's one of my regrets in life. But anyway, so they did a video making fun of this kid. They dressed him up. They did his little, how he talked. And so people were laughing. Most of the people realized, the teachers didn't realize it. We all watched this on the TV, the AV, they wheeled in the cart. And so I semi-yelled to someone I would say 20 feet away, hey, that's Thomas. They're doing him. The teachers heard that. And so the teacher's like, oh, okay. So those kids got in trouble because of that. So the kids blame me for ratting them out. I didn't know. I didn't realize what I was doing.
Right.
I was in the back of the room. There was kids because it was like all the groups. It was all the kids grouped up from the multiple classes, and so I was going to my friend. So they wanted to beat the shit out of me when I was like 12. These were like 3 or 4 kids. One of them I could probably take out. I can't take out 4 of them. Sure. So coincidentally, they were doing like I think it was supposed to be like a softball game. We rarely had things outside of school where everyone would meet up, all like say like 30, 40 kids.
Right.
So now I realized I can't go because it's a trap. They're gonna either harass me or try to beat me up, and it wouldn't be a fair fight likely. And I wasn't at the state I was worse. This was before the Jeff fight. If it was after the Jeff fight, they wouldn't have messed with me. This was before. I didn't know I would be able to snap and almost kill someone. So I didn't have anything going for me then. So I backed out of it. I backed out of the softball thing, and I felt ashamed. I was obviously stressed. They were taunting me. I'll never forget this, Christine, who I rode on the bus with. You try to trick me into going. Now remember, this is turning. This girl, Christine, I lived 4 blocks from, that I was friendly with and had a not really crush on, but she was cute, she was friendly. She called me up on the phone, and no girl called you up on the phone ever when you were 12 years old. Hey, Pat, why don't you come on out?
I remember. I think you've talked about this before.
You 12-year-old bitch. You were trying to do the dirty work of what to get your boyfriend bully to get me to come out to have me humiliated. I'll never forget that as long as I fucking live.
Maybe you should, though.
That was the most devious thing a girl ever did to me in grade school. And I rode on the bus with this girl every year for like 8 years. And she tried doing that. So anyway, I played Street Fighter 2. All the while I know that, I was going to be looked at as a wimp for not showing up. But it was a lose-lose situation. Unless I would have snapped and beat the hell out of the kid. But, they would have maybe piled on me there. But fighting games are, I would say, not that they're calming to me. This is a big end around that story. But fighting games are so, to me, rhythmic and time-based. Maybe it's similar to you with RPGs where you stop thinking when you're playing fighting games.
Oh yeah. You
don't have time to think when you're playing a fighting game. It's all about, okay, when you're in a certain spot on your 2D plane, you should be doing a certain move. You should be setting up a move. You really don't think.
Yeah.
It's really not more strategy, more about it's muscle memory and timing.
It's reaction to situations.
Yeah, and that's what I'm good at with good old Ryu. Ryu kicking ass, how he always does there. But overall, I would say after childhood, I never played a game to relieve stress. It just never appealed to me to do that. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I couldn't get lost in it like I could when I was a kid. I don't know.
Sure.
I should have beat up that kid though. Back then, I should have taken the gamble. But no one had my back. I was friends with the kids that were more quiet, and it wouldn't have went well for me. Unless I almost killed the kid, and then everyone else would have left me alone. Looking back, maybe I should have made the gamble. Oh, Joey, I should have taken you out. I should have like I said, I should have taken out the kids. I shouldn't have taken out Jeff. I should have taken out those kids. Would have done it the world. Man, sorry.
It's all right.
I didn't know I could focus that thick but quick rage at that young age. Didn't know I could do that.